factory where that takes place. Necrolor, the city of the damned.
The catchphrase to the new style Doom games is rip and tear. This was mentioned at the beginning of Doom 2016 and on one of the press conferences where id initially showed gameplay footage for Doom Eternal. I think it was QuakeCon or something. The guy, whose name I can't think of, said to the audience, "Are you ready to rip and tear?" which sounded very appropriate for Doom. And I bring this up now because in Doom Eternal, the catchphrase is a little bit overused. You find it in text logs, in a couple of cutscenes, to the point where I can't help but to think of this guy.
The wild women, the rippin' and the tearin', the rippin' and the tearin'.
As I just said, this is a sequel to Doom 2016, which in turn is a reimagining of the classic first-person shooter. To some gamers, this is the granddaddy of FPSs. Doom 2016 received rave reviews due to its up-to-date graphics, its new health ammo generation system, and overall simplicity of the game. For example, there is no reload button, nor is there a run or a crouch. It's just you, the guns, and an army of demonic hellspawn waiting for their guts to be spread all over the place. The story this time is that the armies of hell have invaded Earth, so it's up to the Doomslayer to shoot them in the face. And that's my interpretation of the plot. There's a lot of text logs which are scattered throughout the levels which attempt to build lore and to give a more in-depth background on the Doomslayer himself, but I found it really dull personally. Also, I don't think there's a suitable explanation on what happened at the end of the last game and how the Slayer ended up with his own spacecraft called the Fortress of Doom, which acts as a hub in between the levels, or how he ended up with a shinier visor so he could see his rugged face. To be fair, I may have missed something as I was eager to get back to the aforementioned shooting demons in the face. The graphics for most part are similar to Doom 2016. The new locales are pretty decent looking and the demon designs are still pretty cool. There is some slowdown when jumping towards the edge of an arena, which is quite odd. I don't know, maybe it's an unaddressed bug. And I did have a weird graphical glitch on the final boss fight where my gun disappeared and was left with just my hands, which was strange. Plus, some of the textures of the demons disappeared, making them look like asset flips from an early access Steam game. I have been playing the PS4 version of the game, so if you're lucky enough to be playing this on a high-end PC, then I'm sure the graphics will be suitably boosted. And as I've mentioned the PS4, this is one of those games that will make the fan sound like it's trying to open its own hell portal inside your home, so just letting you know of that. The music does a great job of building the atmosphere, and it was quite interesting to hear the heavy metal choir who they got in to record for Doom Eternal chanting away. So what's new in Doom Eternal? Well, quite a bit actually. First off, you have a shoulder-mounted flamethrower known as the Flame Belch. Which, when used, will make the demons drop armour shards. So now it's a juggling act of what you need most to stay alive. For example, do you need health? Stun the demons and glory kill. Are you lacking ammo? Get your chainsaw out and slice up a demon to create a bucket full of ammo. At full health, set the demons on fire to generate some armour. All this is pretty manageable enough until you're knee deep in an arena full of demons. You see, one of the key aspects you have to do in Doom is to keep moving and minimise damage as much as possible, and in intense battles it gets pretty tough combining these aspects, along with weapon changes, because some demons are particularly weak against certain weapons and have certain weak spots, and it's very easy to get surrounded by a gang of demons like being in the middle of some demonic circle jerk. Doom isn't Doom without demons, and there's quite a few new enemies to kill in Doom Eternal. Some that spring to mind are the snake-like whiplash demons which move fast, duck under your bullets and get up close for sloppy satanic kisses. There are mini versions of the Spider Mastermind boss in Doom 2016, complete with plasma cannons. Then you have a new Cacodemon type which spits Lost Souls enemies at you. And there's a new teleporting and flying versions of the classic Imp, which are a pain in the arse, as well as energy shield producing demons as well. Added to this are bosses like the Doom Hunter and Marauder, which when encountered first time are pretty tough, but in later levels you encounter these guys within regular fights along with a variety of other demon types, which makes for hard battles. At the time of making this video, I hear there is a patch coming which will introduce super demons, which are demons which have killed other players, which sound like an interesting idea but could make fights a lot harder. These guys are joined by pretty much all of the demons that was in Doom 2016, making up for a roster complete and utter bastards. The game doesn't pull no punches with its difficulty either. Doom 2016 veterans will be surprised when you first encounter a Mancubus, that's a big fat demon with double arm cannons, as early as level 3. It really does feel like everything gets thrown at you, which makes for a decent challenge. If you're watching this and are new to Doom, then expect a rude awakening. I played through the game on Hurt Me Plenty, which is default difficulty, and have died a lot of times, which I wasn't expecting, as I completed the previous Doom on Ultra Violence difficulty. However, none of the battles in the main campaign seem impossible, just very, very challenging. Throughout the levels there are tons of secret rooms and collectibles. Some of these pickups increase the max amount of health, armour or ammo you can have, as well as your general abilities. The rune system is back and you can equip up to 3 runes to help give you an edge in battle. And of course you can pick up and upgrade mods for your guns to change how you use them and to change their effects. There are also optional encounters and Slayer Gates where you can have some ultra hard fights, with the reward being a bonus unlockable weapon. With all this and the option to replay previous levels as master levels where the demon types are remixed, then there's a lot here to get your teeth into. Another new feature of Doom Eternal is double jump and double dash feature. The dash is almost like a teleport, except you can get hit during it, and you can now climb certain walls and jump off poles, so there's a lot of added manoeuvrability, which is pretty cool. But this brings me to my first real gameplay issue. If you jump or double jump off a pole, then it propels you in the air where you can jump once more, okay? With the dash and double dash, you can do in midair and perform these until a cooldown period, unless you hit an icon which instantly resets the cooldown. With me so far? Okay. So you have these sections where you jump and dash onto poles and icons across pits of lava or spikes or whatever, and it's incredibly cumbersome. The best way to describe it, it's like a 3D version of Celeste where one wrong move or button press screws it all up. You don't die straight away for falling in pits, but you do lose armour and health. There was one section very early on which was exactly how I just described, and it took a good 20 minutes to get past it, which I could see would put some people off because, let's face it, Doom isn't about jumping around. It's about, you know, the ripping and the tearing. Another issue that I have is a fairly big one, and oddly enough, not to do with the game itself. My problem is with Bethesda.net. So you install a game, boot up and immediately you need to create a Bethesda.net account, which is annoying enough, so I put in an email address and off I go with the single player campaign. You know, what's essentially the meat and potatoes of Doom. The game absolutely insists that you need to be connected to Bethesda.net so you can earn XP to go towards shit that you get in multiplayer, which by the way I have no intention of playing at the moment. Now I'm kind of like, okay, it's not like I'm running 5 megabytes per second broadband, so I'll ignore it. But, and this is the sticking point, randomly during play a big massive notification comes up on screen saying that Bethesda.net has disconnected, and it chucks you into the pause screen. Very annoying. But it gets even worse. If you die and continue from the previous checkpoint, the game insists to connect back to Bethesda.net and can sometimes take as much as 2 minutes to jump back in. I've not got the fastest internet in the world, but it ain't the slowest either, and works well during online gaming, so the issue has to be with Bethesda's shoddy netcode. From what I could see, there's no option to stop the game from connecting apart from disconnecting my PS4 from the internet, which is inconvenient just to play a game in which it's not an issue for any other single player game out there. I appreciate that Bethesda wants to promote the new multiplayer mode and to coax you into buying Gucci Doomslayer skins, but at the expense of the main campaign feels real unfriendly to the player. From everything I've just mentioned, you must be getting some mixed messages about whether I liked Doom Eternal or not. And the truth is, I do feel quite mixed about the game. The core gameplay is good, and for most part I enjoyed. I will admit to feeling a bit enraged towards the end of the game. The final level plus boss took me over 5 hours to finish due to the amount of times I was dying. My main gripe is that they tried too hard to put in new mechanics into the game, which I don't think that was needed, and therefore this version of Doom has lost a lot of its simplicity that you would expect from a Doom game. With this, the messy narrative, and bloody Bethesda.net doesn't feel as polished as Doom 2016, and in my opinion, it's not as good. So in conclusion, Doom Eternal is a fairly decent FPS and should be of an interest to people who have completed Doom 2016 at the higher difficulty levels, as what you're getting here is a hardcore Doom experience. I'm not sure I can recommend it at full price, but it's worth a look if you can get it cheaper.